Hey, it's Carrie Flatla here for this week's Friday Fire at Remax Real Estate Lethbridge and Carrie Flatla and Associates. I'm getting asked this all of the time by my new homebuyer clients. Am I going to overpay for a house right now in this red hot seller's market? And it's not a yes/no question, but I think I can put your mind at ease if that is a concern for you, especially if you're buying in Lethbridge. I'm telling you, this is the place to put your money. So as you know, last week we did our summer market update. So there's some really good information in there about different price points, what's happening with the Lethbridge real estate market. It's basically on fire. We have just over 2 months inventory. Go back to that last episode of Friday Fire at carrieflatla.com/blog if you want to see that, or scroll down on my Facebook. Make sure you also like this page if you want to keep getting updates. But let's talk about pricing specifically. If you read the headlines, we can see some pretty crazy numbers. Okay, for example, on betterdwelling.com, July 14th, they put out an article with the headline, I know you can't read backwards, Canadian real estate prices are up 19%. Average price hits $734,000 in June. Wow, that's crazy. Now to put that in perspective, our average house price in Lethbridge is not even $350,000, and we'll get into that in a minute. But there's a problem with averages, especially national averages and national statistics. Why? Because real estate is local, local, local. So what's happening in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, the greater Toronto area, Cochrane, has little or nothing to do with what's happening in the real estate market in Lethbridge. So I want to show you just how much these numbers can vary. This article from the CBC, More Numbers and Statistics, says that since last year, Canadian home prices have gone up 26.3%. Like, wow, that's a big number. Okay. However, even on the provincial level, we see massive discrepancies when you look across the country. So 26.3% increase in Canadian home prices over last year. In Saskatchewan, 7% increase. In Alberta, 12.6% increase. So half, okay? Huge difference. And it gets more interesting still. Let's look at Lethbridge. So Lethbridge numbers, here's my trusty little matrix graph. Look at the pattern here. So this is over the past 10 years, and you see how gradual the price increase is in Lethbridge, like barely tracking inflation, our house prices here. And then we see a little jump from 2020 to 2021. So from January to June, it's middle of July, from January to June of 2020, our average house price in Lethbridge City proper, $294,307. From January to June in 2021 in the city of Lethbridge, average house price $319,897. As a percent increase, that is 8.7% compared to the national average, which is over 25%. So even though Lethbridge is actually one of the hottest markets right now, certainly one of the hottest markets on the prairies, our house prices aren't out of control, and you have to remember what we're starting from. So we're not starting from an average house price of $1 million like in Vancouver, or even a benchmark price like in Calgary, which I believe is in well into the 400s. We're starting from barely even $300,000 average house price. So my argument is that years and years and years of stagnant pricing, we're just catching up. We're just catching up. Okay, 8.7% over last year. Great news for homeowners, but it's great news for home buyers, because remember, you're getting your mortgage almost free money right now. The interest rates are crazy low. There still is 2 months of inventory. So, I mean, you're going to find a house if you have a good realtor. The cost of living in Lethbridge, despite the high property taxes, the cost of living here is great. So we're catching up. And then the other thing to think about when you're concerned about overpaying for a house is, why are you buying the house to begin with? Because your motivation to buy shapes what kind of house you're going to buy and the price point you're going to buy. So for example, if you're buying a brand new builder home, new construction, which you have to pay GST, landscaping, blinds, fence, develop the basement potentially, etc., 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 you better be living in that home for 5 years or more. That's kind of my rule of thumb. 5 years or more if you buy a home. If you're buying a place for the kids to live in for 3-4 years and then you might be selling it, we're going to have a different strategy when we go and find you a home, so that when you go to sell it in a relatively short amount of time, you don't lose your shirt. So we got to think about resale, right? Students versus seniors. I mean, that's the best comparison I can make. A student or just a young person buying their first home versus a senior. I mean, they have completely different reasons for buying. I had a client tell me today, this is the last place we're buying. This is it. They're seniors. They're buying their last home. That's where they're going to stay. So resale isn't as important as things like lifestyle, comfort, amenities, less stairs, lower condo fees, affordability, you know, all these kinds of things. Whereas a 30-year-old who's buying their first home, they want to grow into it. They're going to stay there probably until they're 40. So an 8-9% increase in average sale prices in Lethbridge over the last year, that shouldn't be alarming at all. You're not going to overpay. You should be looking for the house that you really want for your lifestyle. If you're going to be selling in 3 to 5 years, there's a high risk that there's going to be a job transfer. You could get yanked into a new job position up in Calgary, Edmonton over the next couple years. We have to be a lot more strategic on what we buy. So the moral of the story is, real estate is super hyper local. What's going on in Lethbridge does not reflect what's happening in the rest of the country. This is still an incredibly safe place to put your money. Despite our red hot sellers market, if you know what you're doing and you get good advice, you shouldn't be overpaying for a home, and you shouldn't have to overpay for a home. Remember, there's negotiating and being strategic with what you're buying, knowing what the comparables say, doing some market research with your realtor. If you have any questions at all about house prices, what's out on the market right now, how can you get your house sold, give me a call, send me a message. 382-7335 is my cell, or you can visit us at carrieflatlaw.com. Always would love to hear from you. Always would love to interview for the job. Have an awesome weekend. Stay cool out there. Wear the SPF. Be careful with the smoke. And we'll see you for next Friday Fire. Have a terrific weekend. Bye-bye.